Before I say what I'm about to say, I just want to state that I am not a mental health professional and I am not making any kind of clinical diagnosis here. I am just sharing some perspectives based on my own lived experience and observations. And I will begin by sharing that years ago, I was working with a somatic practitioner, and after a couple of sessions together, she looked at me and she said, "Alyssa, I have some news for you. Okay? You're codependent." And the next thing she said was, "But don't worry, because pretty much all of us are." So when she said that I was codependent, I had two reactions. One was shock that someone would say it to me that directly. And another was, I already knew this. I already knew that I had patterns based on what I had learned about codependency, that I had patterns that demonstrated codependent behaviors. And it still took me several years to really come into contact with the way that codependency was operating in my life. And the most simple way to speak about this is to say that I organized my life around the needs and experiences and feelings of others. And I would say that this was true of me and can be true of many people who experience codependent patterning, but that it became a preoccupation for me. And it kept me from actually experiencing the true intimacy that a deep and healthy relationship calls for. So noticing these patterns in myself was one thing, but the fact that my practitioner shared, well, this is true for a lot of us. And she was really speaking about a lot of us in the West, in American culture. Really has had me continue to observe codependent dynamics around me for many years now. I think that there are ways that the healthy intimacy templates have been very lost for a lot of people. And on the flip side, there are also a lot of people who have been doing the deep internal tending, whether that is somatic work, therapy, group coaching, individual coaching, personal development, spiritual development, actually turning to God, to Christianity, or to some kind of religion to learn how to relate in healthy ways, right? And as I've walked through my journey and sat with this idea of codependency and really looked at this in myself, those tendencies for years now, and also sat with this idea that people who display narcissist type tendencies can often find themselves bonded with people who display codependent patterning and tendencies. And I'm thinking about this because if one of the simplest ways to describe codependency is a fixation or obsession or tendency to focus on the needs and experiences and feelings of others primarily. One of the simplest ways to describe someone with narcissist patterning is that they have an obsession or fixation with their own needs, feelings, experiences. They center themselves, right? So something that I was thinking about on a walk earlier today was how the narcissist actually has some codependent in them. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't have a need to be in relationship. And the codependent has a little bit of narcissist in them because part of what they get out of the obsession with the fixation on another is on some level gratifying to the self. Even if it is painful, there's something in that patterning that is gratifying. So the codependent and the narcissist both have a little of the other within themselves. And what I think about is how there is at the bottom, at the root of these distorted relational patterns, a desire for intimacy. There's a desire for intimacy at the root of all of it. If there wasn't, why would these two individuals be in relationship at all? But in the same way that, if you've heard of the Karpman drama triangle, the victim, villain, rescuer, this dynamic where people can switch between different roles, and it is just this continuous cycle of drama, right? There too, there's at the root of it is a desire for intimacy. But when we dwell inside of distorted, unhealthy relational patterns, we don't actually get the full experience and range and beauty and nourishment that intimacy offers. And I assert that it is through the conscious awareness of these patterns that we then get to exit them. We get to choose to opt out. We get to choose another way. That in the same way that showing up inside of a codependent relational pattern, a narcissistic relational pattern, that for so many people has been inherited by what we have witnessed from others, friends, family, peers, media, culture, whatever we inherited, and then started playing out ourselves, to become in conscious awareness of it and choose in our sovereignty from a place of agency that is not how we wish to live, that is not how we wish to relate, and that we begin to believe that another way is possible. And that true intimacy is not only possible, but that we are worthy of it. That a person who has an addiction type tendency toward another, that as I have come to realize myself, I am worthy of healthy intimacy. That from being worthy, from experiencing myself as worthy, I can allow myself to feel what I feel. I can allow myself to communicate what it is I feel, to value what I feel, to share what I feel with another person, and to actually be available for their experience as well. Like, true, healthy intimacy is possible. And if there has been a pattern of codependent or narcissistic relational dynamics, to recognize, again, that indicates a desire for intimacy. And the invitation is to be willing to choose true, healthy intimacy, honesty, to choose vulnerability, to choose being responsible for our experiences and sharing our experiences with another person, and to be willing to be in dialogue, to be willing to regulate our emotions, to be willing to look at whatever reactivity we have in our system, whatever addictive tendency we have in our system, to be able to look at it, to be willing to look at it, and know that underneath all of it is this very simple, very real, very beautiful, natural, healthy, normal, human desire for intimacy. And that we do not need to be afraid. That we do not need to be afraid. That I say that as someone who has faced down so many fears, so many extraordinary moments of fear in sharing and revealing my heart to another person, saying the truth, having honest dialogue, honest conversation. So many moments of terror. And yet, do not be afraid. It is the most human thing to desire belonging and to feel that we belong, to desire intimacy and to feel and experience intimacy. It is part of our survival. When we are born, we need other people to take care of us for us to survive. And so as we come into adulthood, true adulthood, mature adulthood, to recognize that we have all the say. We have all the say in how we show up to our relationships. I'm so here for people to experience the intimacy that is available to us in this lifetime, because it is one of the greatest joys, perhaps the greatest joy of being alive, being known and knowing another, being seen and seeing another, being chosen and choosing another. And I think that if we hold that desire, that inclination, that natural drive with so much love and tenderness and grace for ourselves and for one another, that is a beautiful place to begin. So this is something that I've been contemplating, very open to if anything in particular touched you or if you have anything to add. And sending you so much love. Thank you for listening.